Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and wherever you are viewing across the globe. My name is Sunil Chapavidal. I'm here again with my buddies Anish and Ajay, talking about Rudy for Safety in this week's broadcast. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's broadcast. We have a lot to share with you. Uh, Anish, you want to add something here? It's a lovely morning for us here in Detroit.
Yeah, man, it's starting to get cold here, but it's nice, bright at least. No sunshine, but yeah, it is good, man.
And Ajay?
Yeah, it's the same. It's becoming a little nippy here. I was out in the evening and it was a bit cold, but otherwise, Bangalore is the same, right? Dust and pollution and mud. So
That's cool. That's cool. And uh, it's fine. I guess we are getting it. It's I last week I went for watching the fall colors here in on the near Alpena and Gaylords. It was amazing. I mean, beautiful. So I mean, I'm not making you jealous, Ajay here, but but anyway, before have you heard of Benford's law, Anish or Ajay? I'm sure you probably have not come across that, right? Ah, and it's got a lot to do with AI as we speak about it. And that's the reason I want to touch on that. So, I mean, it's a very simple concept, but I think what I wanted to talk here today is how, in this time where, COVID is affecting all of us, there is a lot of, revenue loss. There are people who are struggling to make ends meet. But even companies are going through the same process of disruption, transformation, change, fear, anxiety, everything. When companies have a soul, I guess, and that soul is hurting. And especially so with our EPC friends, which is who are very near and dear to us. The engineering process and procurement construction world is somewhere where we are deeply associated with, and we find that. We have to help out there. And so this one, and the reason I touched on Benford's law is because one of the first things we wanted to help the EPCs with, saving costs and saving time. I had some association with that law, and that law is nothing but if you look at, I mean, accountants can easily relate to that. The IRS can easily relate to that. But it's been a traditional way to catch fraud, right? When we look at patterns of numbers or patterns of things that have happened over the past many hundreds of years, we can actually draw a curve that starts descending when you see if from, let's say, some number which starts with 1 to a number which starts with 9. If you plot it on a graph, the numbers that start with 1 or in the early parts of the number range from 1 to 9 is almost 30% of the results. So what it suggests to me, and I think to a lot of my friends in the AI world, is that we as humans have, we tend to flip to the first few pages and then, can get easily bored and stop looking at anything else. And that translates directly into what we are trying to do with the EPC community here. And guess what? One of my friends and a close associate and a customer of ours, Mr. Sunil Joshi, actually put me onto it because he was describing a scenario where he was a 7th or 8th vendor and he didn't get a fair chance, whereas he had a great product and he was not able to compete with compete in the marketplace efficiently because there were some other top 3 vendors. And then when we began digging into it, Benford's law came into picture because, frankly, an EPC engineer or a consultant, they don't have the bandwidth to sometimes go beyond the first 2 or 3 vendors. So our first, one of the first problems we wanted to solve is we want to give more choices to our EPC partners, more choices in terms of the vendors that can bid for a particular product, So you are not limited to the top 3 or top 2 or top 1 just because you don't have the bandwidth or time to evaluate them technically. So that is one of the first tricks that I talked about in one of my blogs is go wide. Talk to 8 vendors, 10 vendors, that maybe the 10th vendor is as good as the first vendor technically, and their prices are, and their service rates are fantastic. Why not take advantage of that? So you immediately you can save, I would hazard a guess, a project, a gross margin of a project, you could improve it by up to 1%. It's huge for these projects. So one of the first things, and that's where Benford's law came in. I said we want to disrupt Benford's law. Artificial intelligence is going to see to it that Benford's law doesn't, is changed, right? Because now you can read. You don't have to stop with reading the first few pages of a book, or you can actually continue down that because the assistant, AI assistants, as you know, us and many other folks are providing in the marketplace, help you to evaluate much more amounts of data, more than what the human could. So that's the first trick that I would suggest the EPCs take. Use digital assistants, use technology in a way to, sorry about that, use technology in a way to actually look at more options, increase your choices, give yourself a better deal. So yeah, I mean, Anish and Ajay, anything to comment on the first trick? And I want to go to 2 more things that I will talk about. But anything on this? I know now you're going to Google Benford's law and look at it. But
Yeah, I think everybody will. If they get the spelling right.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, science lesson this morning from Sunil. But hey, from a marketing perspective, from interacting with clients perspective, choices always lead to savings in time and money, right? And that is what we are trying to do. And the way we are offering this, the choices is by taking away work that our clients would otherwise have to spend if they didn't have automation on all the uh, bits of work that they have to do, specifically in terms of evaluating multiple suppliers, right? So that is what we are trying to do. We are saying don't evaluate only 2 or 3 because you don't have enough time. Evaluate 10, and when you're evaluating 10, we just take away the work, all the evaluation work that you have to do anyway. We give it to AI, it'll automate it, and it'll show you the results, and then you just focus on the output, and then very quickly dismiss or accept which suppliers you want to move forward with. And I think that is the beauty of artificial intelligence, the way we are trying to apply it and focusing on those tasks that take the longest amount of time to fulfill. We do not, by design, MintMesh does not believe in trying to boil the ocean and automate the entire process. We are focused on task automation, and I believe that is where our clients will get the maximum benefit.
yeah, thank you, Anish. So yeah, I mean, moving on, I have to coming to the next trick, if you may, and again, this is not original stuff. I was put to this by my friend Jim McGuire from the lovely city of Houston, who is in the middle of power engineering other stuff. Well, when we began discussing this program where of using Rudy, he immediately saw the benefit of how Rudy can significantly improve the bit evaluations for small and medium complexity items. He said that the high complexity items anyway may be a single OEM may be building it, so you don't worry about it. It says 80% of my time is the small and medium complexity items where I have to, despite everything, I have to still go and evaluate everything. So thank you, Jim. Again, a shout out to you. We really value your advice and your feedback. And our tool is exactly doing that with some of our clients now. So that is the second trick. Don't, like Anish said, don't try to boil the ocean. Don't try to automate everything. Engineers are required. There is a subjective element to this where your, complex engineering comes into play. But there is, 80% of your material is probably, and the cost of the material is probably in the low and medium complexity items. Maybe a flange, a motor, who knows what. An air circuit breaker, if you may. But think about it. Just evaluating that and getting that much time back, now you have got 80% of your time back to do more high impactful things. Analyze the complex items, or provide engineering support of where where engineers would really like to do that. And so that is my second trick. And again, Ajay, you had some. Do you have something to add? You have.
Exactly right. So these are all when we started off with this AI, right, and when we really wanted to make a change in the EPC industry, I think the knowledge engineering space was directly fitting into this whole scheme of things, right? And the examples that Sunil brought, both from Jim as well as from Sunil, uh, when I heard this, and from my background about AI and how it can be used in the enterprise world, the first relationship that I could bring in to the whole aspect of discussion was that we're going to play in a very a niche area called knowledge engineering, which is basically going to solve a specific problem and has a huge benefit in terms of return on the investment that an enterprise is going to make, and which is both tangible, which is basically going to help them with the bottom line and top line and all those stuff. In addition to that, you're basically making your engineers more valued for the company, right? The value that they're going to bring in by reading a document, where as against a value which an engineer can bring in by actually doing the core engineering stuff, is going to be strategically important for an enterprise to move ahead, right, in this very competitive world, especially from a pricing and revenue and all those stuff, right, when the oil prices are going down and things like that. So that's where when I listened to Sunil about this area and this space, where I felt that it is a knowledge engineering space that we're bringing in AI, and when we kind of touch upon that, and when we are really going to bring that value into the company, it is going to be astronomical value to the company, right? This is not going to be like a workflow system where you kind of say that, yeah, I will I kind of streamline the data and all those stuff, but a real value will come in when we are applying AI in the knowledge engineering space. So,
Thank you, Ajay. And now that brings me to the third trick, if you may. And this again, I'm not the best of thinkers here, but my friend and our common friend Anish and I, Sheikh Abdul Aziz. Anish, you remember that conversation we had? Fantastic conversation, and thank you, Sheikh Ji. This was so we described the product, and his feedback about collaboration being one of the most important elements of this was incredible feedback for us. So initially, when Rudy for sourcing went into the product space, it was actually like a digital engineer just going and figuring out things, looking at the complexity of items, evaluating the bits and everything else. But when we talked to the Sheikh, and he's an important GCC member, so his feedback was extremely valuable for us. Said that when we have all these things, you can evaluate this, the engineers can do it, but then what? Then we have to communicate to the vendor, you have to communicate to the discipline engineers, get all this collaboration going. That also takes up a significant amount of time. That's where when our engineering team, our thought center in Bangalore, headed by Ajay, of course, went in, developed an entire collaboration suite around Rudy that now, things that would have taken normally hours on hours and without any audit trail, without any responsibility attached, with no deadlines being monitored, all this has become part of the product. And actually, we are currently having some pilots about this collaboration product with few of our clients, and we are seeing immense results. And thanks again for the feedback. Please keep it coming. We have wonderful partners there, and people, well wishers, and collaborators who give us tremendous feedback. And Anish, do you want to pick on something that Sheikh said, or?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we heard a lot from the market was that it's a very manual and laborious process of evaluating offers from suppliers, for doesn't matter what kind of requirement it is. Yes, there is automation, some companies have applied their own automation by creating templates and Excel spreadsheets and all that good stuff, but the post initial offer submission collaboration or the follow up is all manual, right? It happens through email, it happens through text messages, voice messages, now maybe WhatsApp for business, and all the data is all over the board, right? It is not easy to understand why maybe some decision was made 2 years down the line when you're coming back and figuring things out for any analytics purposes, or for maybe another situation that you're facing right now. So all this data is scattered across multiple platforms. So with this collaboration suite that we are building into our solution, any discussion post initial offer submission will happen within Rudy for sourcing. Whether you need technical clarification, whether something was missed, whether you want to add more requirements, whatever that is, that everything is captured, time stamped, who said what, when, how, all is captured. So now next time when you're trying to figure things out, you just go in there and look as to why certain decision was made. All this thing will be searchable. So I mean, it makes the job again easier, right? So you're you're giving the opportunity to engineers and suppliers to get some of their time back, because they don't have to spend time searching, oh, what offer did I give to this same client 2 years ago for a similar component. The supplier can also go back and look, okay, I offered this offer, and these are all the things that questions are asked of me. So this time when I'm submitting an offer, I'll ensure all my offer is even more compliant to the requirements. So collaboration is very, very important, not only in this sector, but in any sector. And like they said, things are lost in communication. And if they are across multiple platforms, just imagine you are missing so much. So that is where I believe collaboration comes into picture big time. Ajay, you want to add something?
Yeah, I can. I think Sunil, you're speaking on the mute. If you want to unmute, were you saying
I'm
something?
sorry. Yeah, my yeah. Please, Ajay, go ahead.
No, exactly right. No, now, no. The moment again, the same thing, right? When we say collaboration, it's textual data being captured, communication between engineers. Where again, when I wear the hat of an AI person, the moment I hear unstructured data these days, I say that okay, there can be a pattern, there can be learning from it, right? Because a lot of data which is captured when most of the organizations today are in a structured way, but there is humongous amount of data which is captured today in an unstructured way, right? In the form of an email, conversations, blah, 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 right? Which a lot of organizations have still not tapped into. So that is an area where we would be focusing in the future, where how can we bring in more intelligence into Rudy by looking at the patterns of this data, right? Which would again help us to mature Rudy from what it is today to the next level, right? So collaboration, saving time is one part of it, but strategically from our standpoint, we are looking at this data to enhance Rudy's capability from an engineering standpoint, right? So a lot of benefits. It circles down back again, and if you are able to get these data, I think it will be of tremendous value to an organization.
All right, Ajay, thank you. I think what Ajay was touching on is conversational intelligence, which is going to form part of our package to determine, for the machine to learn. Already it's learning a lot of things which are direct, which are engineering language specific. But now natural language specific conversations between engineers, between the vendors, it can, understand and start predicting things in the future. So we are very excited about the journey we are on. And again, just to reiterate for our EPC friends out there, 3 things. First, go wide. Second, focus on small and medium. And third, collaborate. And with that, I leave you with this 3 thoughts: collaboration, small and medium complexity, and increase the number of vendors that you're talking to. Thank you once again, folks, for tuning in today and listening and hearing us and viewing us. I'm sorry, and we'll see you again next week, same time. Bye now.
Same place.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, Anish.
All right, guys. Bye. See you
Bye.
next time.
Bye.